Hello, I'm David Saville. I mentor coaches to be the only coach in the world who does what they do. And as someone said to me today, actually, she says to me, you help people find their deep USP. And I like that because deep work is what I do. And it is about connecting to what's deep inside of someone, the unique imprint of who they are, and being able to translate that into their coaching work. That's the essential part of what I do. Ben, hey man, welcome. Hello, Alexia. So, funnily enough, Mum, the other day after one of my videos, she says to me, she asked me the question, she says, David, how do you know you're the only one in the world? And to me, I'm like, isn't it obvious? But clearly it isn't. So in explaining it to her, I realized probably need to explain this a lot more. How can you be certain you're the only one in the world? Now, this has emerged for me over the past few years. So I've worked with, personally coaching, around 800 individuals so far. So that's doing deep work. I've also run hundreds of talks and workshops with many thousands of people. And what I've discovered, because in the work that I've done, even in workshops and things, people are sharing deeply. And what I've discovered through working with so many people is we are far more different than we are the same. And it's not about race, it's not about culture, it's not about creed, it's not about where you live or anything like that. It goes far deeper than that. Human to human, anywhere in the world, person sitting next to you, your next door neighbour, your sister, your brother, your child, we are more different than we are the same, each one of us. And there's a lot of very good reasons why that is. We are so complex as an individual. There is so much that goes into who we are. In this moment, there has never been a human being alive who has ever experienced life in the exact way you have. There's no human being who's even been the same height as you throughout your life, which means you literally see things from your perspective visually. No one has, walking down the street, looked in the exact same objects in the exact same way as you have. Now, these are small details, but they're important ones. No one has had the same education. No one has had the same exact experiences. Even if you're twins, you've not had the same exact upbringing. It's not possible. Every single moment throughout our lives, from probably the moment before birth, actually, probably in the womb too, because what happens will be impacted by what the mother puts in the body. The experiences she has will imprint on us before we're even born, let alone genetics, right? Let alone the mix of genes that is already bubbling inside of us that we have no idea what can be activated. So from a genetic, physical, intellectual, emotional, every single aspect that makes us human is extremely complex. So that means truly there is nobody like you and never has been and never will be again. Not a single human being on the planet can ever think exactly the way you do. Now, the reason why we don't, or one of the reasons why we don't notice that, is because we are primal beings fundamentally. We haven't, although we've got these amazing imaginations and we can think in these amazing ways and do amazing things, we are actually, the primal part of us is much older. We're talking hundreds of millions of years, billions really, if you go back to before even this form of life appeared. And that means that the driving force is survival. Now, because of that, it means that we don't need to understand each other deeply to be able to just survive and live our lives. We only need to be able to go, oh, you look similar enough to me. You have similar enough tastes. I kind of get what you mean. We are, I'm trying to put the exact word. We see and experience far less than is actually here. Like, if we're going to put it percentage-wise, we probably experience a 0.5% of what is actually going on around us. Because to survive and to function, most of it is self-generated. We take in just enough to be able to self-generate a map to be able to live our lives. That's what we do. If we want to transcend that, we have a lot of work to do. Now, during these, doing a lot of work with people deeply, really going into who they are, their entire life experiences, sharing things that they've maybe never shared before, it really becomes clear in this way. And there are, what goes into, I'll give a good example. Okay. So at one of my workshops that I run, I was explaining this point. And so I said this, and you can do this right now, in fact. When I say clock tower, what do you see in your mind? What comes to mind? What are you aware of? Clock tower. If you feel like post in the comments, do so. At that, it was a variety of different things. Some people, it was the Back to the Future clock tower. You know the Back to the Future one that Doc is up there and helps Marty get back to the future. Other ones, it was on their school. There was a clock tower at their school. Other people, it was Big Ben. Other people, it was a TV program they'd seen. Someone else, it was a book they'd read. And you went through, I think there was about 30 people in the room. Everyone had a slightly different experience of what clock tower meant for them. And that's just like a word, right? Clock tower. I think it's one word, one or two words, whatever. Think about that, right? That's one or two words just thrown out there. And there are so many different options of what that could mean for an individual. Now, when it comes to combining those words into a single sentence, how many different interpretations of words do we have? This is only if you speak English as well as your first language. If English isn't your first language, you've got a whole different layer of metaphors, of interpretations. There's so much more that you're going to layer upon the words that you see. Nej, welcome. Ergin, welcome. Great to see you. Nej, man. Last time I saw you was on TV with your cowboy hat on, doing the same stuff that we saw, that we did when we were kids. I digress. So when it comes to the complexity of language itself, every single word is a metaphor and it means something different. So when we string a sentence together, multiple sentences, we're continually interpreting that in our own way. And how we interpret that will be based upon the life we've led up to this moment. So when it comes to how you can be the only one in the world, you already are. The problem is you may not realize it. So when it comes to, obviously my bias is working with coaches, right? Helping coaches to be the only coach in the world who does what they do. And the problem is, well, one of the problems is that whatever you've been learning, you'll be taking in. And at first, when you talk about it and you do work with people, it's fresh. And you are working using the same language that you've learned, similar language anyway, the same processes that someone else has given you. You don't own it. It's not yours. So they're probably, if there are 100 people who are on the training with you, well, that's 100 people doing very similar things, talking in very similar ways. And the noise, public noise, right, through Facebook, through wherever it is you're sharing, is just similar. There's very little to distinguish people, because they use the same catchphrases. This is one of the things actually that probably drives my clients nuts. When they use catchphrases, I really pull them up on it. When they put a load of words together, I can't think of a catchphrase in this particular moment. All roads lead to Rome. There you go. It's a catchphrase, right? They say that. I'll challenge them to come up with their own version of it, because every time you do that, you're going into unconsciousness. Every time you do that, you're just parroting someone else. Every time you do that, you might as well be someone else speaking. So when it comes to how do you be the only one in the world, well, the work I do with people is about extracting from them what is unique about them. It tends to be through experiences they've had, challenges they've overcome, going into the emotional moment, and then being able to pull that out and create processes that are unique to them. A very unique way that they did it, even if it's someone else's process, but the way that they have interpreted it, the way that they are using it, if they've used it well, it will be different. So we extract that out, make it unique to them, add in their personality, their character, and then from that basis, they are able to then communicate that and talk about it. And of course, from that strong foundation, suddenly that strong nucleus, it's like what you can build on top of that is phenomenal. Now, when it comes to, I keep saying when it comes to. It's the trouble when you're thinking on your feet on a live video. It's a very interesting thing. The complexity of you which is why you can be the only one. So here are some options. I wrote a list there just because there's so many. There's loads more, but here's some of them, right? Your life experiences. Nobody has experienced life the way you have. That's part of the work I do is with extracting people's stories, right? The stories of their life, their memories essentially, and helping them be compelling. Well, nobody has had the same life experiences than you. Nobody has experienced life in the sequence that you have. So you have 1,000 fascinating stories inside of you. You're probably just not very good at telling them. And that's often part of the problem. Your education. Nobody's been through the exact form of education you have. Nobody's sat in the class in the exact seat you did, hearing things in the way you did and interpreting it in the way you did, let alone stringing that together throughout your life. No one's done the extra work and education you've done, even like YouTube videos or books you've read, magazines that have fascinated you. Nobody's done that in the exact way that you have that formulates your unique opinions. Your natural abilities too. There are certain things you're drawn to. There are certain things you would have done as a kid. Like one of mine was climbing, right? I was always good at climbing. So a natural thing that I can do is climb. I mean, to be honest, I'm not an amazing climber at the moment because I haven't practiced the skill. But it's one of my natural physical abilities anyway. There are loads of others. Listening actually is one of mine. It's not natural in the way that it's always been there, but it was natural in the way it was created through my experience of life. Funny enough, for me, it was from having severe anxiety and being terrified, so not wanting to say anything. So instead of that, I just listened and got really fucking good at listening. Thank you for the loves, by the way. Karen, thank you. Karen, I didn't speak about you directly, but I mentioned your deep USP that you mentioned to me earlier. I really liked that, helping people find their deep USP. Yeah, so thank you very much for that. So other things that make you unique, right? The skills you've developed. Oh, that's probably related to what I just said actually about listening, right? It's the unique skills you've developed in your life. Some of them are from the way you've lived, interacted with people. Some of them from the work that you've done and you over the many years, culminating to a unique set of skills that are all yours. Challenges you've overcome, and it doesn't matter what these challenges are really, but you've achieved things in your life. In fact, one of my new coach friends actually, he's just done like a Spartan like run, right? I think it's like 10 miler or something over Exhort courses. Another one called Michelle, she did the same one actually, I think. And that is, they're challenges they've overcome. Of course, then there's the personal challenges. Like I had body dysmorphia as one of mine, right? Where I used to think I was disfigured, for years. That was quite a horrific way to experience life. But overcoming that, it means you get to see inside of the people in a way that others wouldn't who hadn't experienced it. You'll have your own versions of these things. The subtleties of language, I've just covered that, right? Memories, your unique set of memories and the way you remember it. You'll be sharing things with people like family members and friends, but the way that you share it and the things that you remember will be distinct. So your memories, those are the stories that shape up the unique part of you. Character, your unique character and what it is that what do you stand for? What do you stand for in life? Like, what do you care about? Like one of the things that I stand for instance, is actually changing the coaching industry. Instead of being filled with people who are just wanting to do it to make money and wanting to do it just because, I know what I'll do. I don't want to work in my job anymore, so I want to leave and do this thing. No, how about you care about people, you do good work, you become amazing at it, and then naturally you're going to make a load of money eventually. But make sure it's built upon doing good work for people. Make sure that comes first. And also high quality. Another thing I stand for is damn high quality in your coaching standards. Work with a lot of people. Deeply pay attention to what you're doing. Keep learning and developing your skills. Develop the highest possible standards you can. So when people hear about coaching, they don't roll their eyes thinking another crap coach, as the many are out there. They go, wow, coaching. I've heard that is the most transformative thing a person can do. A beautifully connected relationship you have with your client, and that be the go-to. So there's many anyway, but those are a couple of the things that I stand for. There are many, many others too. What you stand for, they become unique to you and form this unique character. Your personality, the things that you like to do that are unique to you. I built in my garden, or I had built more accurately, I didn't build it, a scaffolding last year that is 10 meters long, 3 meters high and 2 meters wide, built in the shape of a Ninja Warrior course. Why? Because I want to go on Ninja Warrior one day, and I want to be able to train whenever I want. I want to be able to do, I don't want to be restricted in how I can train and when. The sun is a bit of a problem, to be honest. It's damn hot on there. But that's part of my personality, right? It's the things that I like to do. You'll have yours. And quirks as well, I suppose that related to that. And unique perspective. You know, you'll have a very unique perspective on life. Now, one of the reasons that you may not always feel like what you have to share is so unique and original is because you're not practiced at it. This is something that I am very vocal with the coaches that I train, the coaches that I consult with, and just the coaches that I speak to who are new and just I help, offer some advice to. It's like, speak about what it is that you do, like communicate publicly. Keep sharing your ideas on a consistent basis as many times as you can, no matter where you are. If you have a full-time job, make sure you're bringing these ideas there. You need to get damn good at articulating what it is that you do, because by doing that, you figure out what it is you know, you understand yourself better, you translate all of this unique human being that you are into something unique, and you can then attach that to the work you do, which forms up this part of you being the only one in the world. It's actually being the only one in the world that does what you do isn't difficult. If you're willing to be judged, you're willing to be criticized, you're willing to take risks. It's damn important. In fact, I'll just finish on this now. It's time. My throat's getting a little dry. I think this heat is getting to my voice. When I started doing this, like 5 years ago, what's that, Damien? I like your conversation. Yes, man. Yes, okay. I'm going to out you here, Damien. I'm going to out you here. Damien, Liver's Edge, this guy, he was a champion dancer. Champion, like national level. And he doesn't tell anybody this. It's a secret. And he's a coach who does that. You want to work with a coach who is damn good at what they do. Pay attention to what else they've done in their life. That isn't just coaching related. Thank you. I've already gone for it, man. He dedicated himself to actually to becoming the best, winning championship as dancing, ballroom dancing. That's something special. Think about the dedication it takes to get to that standard, the hours of work, having to work with someone, having to intuitively understand the partner, all that goes into that, plus the bravery, taking risks, competition, the being able to perform at will without making mistakes. All of those things will make him a better coach. So that there, right, because he's been a champion dancer, bang, suddenly that adds to his ability to be the only coach in the world that does what he does, right? And Damien, talk about that more, man. You'll have so many stories there that are going to be wonderful for people, lessons to teach them. So yes, we had a wonderful conversation. You let me into that world. So thank you for doing that, man. It's fascinating. It's great to connect with a coach who's doing something, who's done something and is doing something that he cares about what he does as well, by the way, because we've talked about that. He cares deeply for helping people. So yeah, so be the person who shares the things that you've done that is unique to you. You'll get better at articulating the more that you do. Oh yeah, back to what I was saying in the beginning, actually. When I started doing this about 6 years ago, I still had a full-time job, but I started sharing in this way. I remember doing this post, right? I took a long time writing this out. I was very proud of it, and I tentatively pushed it out into social media, onto Facebook, and I was like, oh, I'm proud of that. This is the comment I got. The only comment, by the way, the only interaction on this post, it was meh, like M-E-H, meh. So this person read what I'd written, was so disgusted with how bad it was, that he cared enough to write meh. That's what he cared enough to tell me how worthless it was to him. I'll tell you what, that cut deep. That cut deep back then. But then I wanted to be able to communicate clearly. I wanted to be able to make a difference. I wanted to figure out what the hell it was that I did, and to just get it out. So it's worth the pain. It's worth the fear. It's worth the criticism. It's worth all of that. Because what happens is, the beautiful thing is, you can go back years on Facebook and LinkedIn too, but Facebook more, like even more so. And you can track my progress, right? Anybody, in fact, our clients do that. They go back and you can see my screw ups. You can see when I couldn't pay my mortgage, and like when I quit my job. You can see all the different things that I've tried and failed at. I haven't shared everything, but there's a lot of stuff there. And this is the other good thing, especially when you're starting out, or even if you're a couple of years into your coaching journey, share it as you go, because you will have people see you, and the reason they want to work with you is because they've seen your own success. They've seen you transform and to help people, and they've seen your transformation, and they're like, oh, he's not just suddenly appeared and he's this coach, or she's this coach now who was nowhere and now she's suddenly telling us that she's a coach. No. We've seen her journey. In fact, one of the coaches I work with, Angela, right, who was on this a minute ago, she had that recently. She had someone say to her, who was interested in working with her because she'd seen her transformation. This is so important. So how can you be? So I'm going to wrap up now. So thank you, Damien. I'm glad that you're okay with me outing you. Strongly recommend you share more of that stuff, man. It's amazing. And I want to hear more about what you did as well. So to sum up, how can you be the only coach in the world? Well, one of those ways is to start talking, sharing what it is that you've done, that you're based on your own experiences. Share them, share the insights, share the lessons, share the perspectives that are uniquely yours. Sure, it may sound crap at first. It may sound like other people to start with, but with time, you extract out of yourself the uniqueness in what you say, and that's how you get clear and you speak as the only coach in the world. Obviously, there's a lot more to do as well, but you can begin that right now. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care.